Hi, welcome back to Just One More Page.
Where it's never just one more page.
Hi, guys. Welcome to our second episode in which we are doing a book review talking about this book called XOX by Axie Oh.
There's two O's.
Oh,
XOXO.
is it like EXO? Oh my, I'm saying right now, this book is about EXO, like the K-pop group EXO. Okay.
They just shortened the characters down to 4 instead of like the 15 they have.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. But
How many
listen,
members are in EXO?
there was 12 when they first started. But now I think, like, I honestly don't know. I feel like a lot of members left. Like, I know all the Chinese members left. And then I don't know. Like, I honestly feel like they maybe have like 8. I don't know. I'm not a huge EXO fan. I like their music, but I don't like really follow them. But that's besides the point. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about a book called XOXO. Oh, by the way, also, we're going to be doing this part of the portion of the podcast in which we're going to be hopefully not spoiling anything. And then we're going to give you guys a little hint or tell you guys really when we're going to be going into more of a discussion / spoiler kind of thing. So that way, if you do want to read the book, you can kind of stop the podcast there and then.
And then come back and then talk to us about it because discussions need to be had about this book. And fun fact, if you did listen to our first podcast, this is the book that birthed this podcast. It was why we decided to start it. So it was only, I guess, fitting to make it our first review. So yeah.
Yes, it is our sperm. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
I can't. So what's this book about, Morgan?
Okay.
Let's talk about what this book is about.
So this book came out on July 13th, 2021. So it's very much new still. It's about this girl named Jenny who is a cello prodigy. Cello prodigy.
Like cheese. Cello.
She has one goal is to get into this music conservatory. But then one night she meets this mysterious, handsome boy in a karaoke bar. And and she spends one day with him and he kind of takes over her life. And they kind of like stop talking, I guess. Like some stuff happens and they stop talking. And she kind of like thinks like that she's never going to be able to see him again until she moves to South Korea with her mom. So her mom could take care of her sick grandma. And she ends up realizing that not only is she going to school with him, but he's also in a K-pop group and a very famous K-pop group. So if you don't know what K-pop is, let me quickly explain. K-pop actually stands for Korean pop music. And over the last couple of years, it's become extremely popular thanks to groups like BTS, NCT, Red Velvet, Blackpink, and others. Sorry if I didn't mention your favorite group. I used to be really into K-pop. I got into it around 2012 and I absolutely loved everything to do with it. I love the dancing, the singing, the performance of it. So when I saw this book, I almost lost my mind because it was everything I wanted in the book. It was K-pop, but also a secret relationship, and I was down for it completely.
Right. Well, yeah, you showed me it, and then I was like, oh, I got to read this. So I like bought the book like right then. And I bought it as an ebook and I just read it on my phone and I read the book in like 2 days. Yeah. So it wasn't a hard read.
No. This is a young adult. I would say a middle school young adult read.
Yeah, I think it was rated as a middle grade, so it's a pretty easy book to get through. Yeah. And if you don't know anything about K-pop, it's not a big deal. Number one, they're going to explain pretty much everything to you in the book. So basically anybody can read it without having any like K-pop background. I mean, it's a really light book to read, honestly. Pretty easy to get through.
Yeah, it is a romance book. So if you're looking for something cute and fluffy and romantic, then probably check it out. Okay, so some trigger warnings just in case you guys are wanting to know is there is bullying in this book. Talks of cancer and dealing with cancer, but not in like a very detailed way. There's also a death of a parent that happened in the past. So yep, those are our trigger warnings.
I think that's all we could say without like ruining the whole book. So if you haven't read this book, go read the book and then come back and let's have all the discussions.
Yeah. So let's get into the spoilers because I'm like, listen, I need to talk about this. I have so many things I need to talk about this book.
All the feels.
So please go read the book. The book itself is very adorable, cute. Whoever illustrated this book did a fantastic job. Like the book itself is actually like illustrated too. It's so beautiful. The book itself is gorgeous, and I probably will put pictures on our Instagram. So if you see that, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's a gorgeous book. So if you're interested in K-pop, you want to read something romantic, something cute, something fluffy, probably go check it out. It's a cute read. Let's get into our spoilers because we have a lot of things we want to talk about, and
Yeah.
let's just talk about it, Sam. Okay, so this is your
Okay.
chance. Leave if you want to leave, but this is our
Yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah. You get like 5, 4, 3,
Two.
2, 1. Okay. If you're still here, it's your own fault. Okay. So let's talk about this book. Okay. So it's fluffy. It's supposed to be a romance. I know. But the problems this main character had to deal with were solved way too easily.
Oh my
Way too
God.
easily. First of all, she needed to get into a school, so she got into a school, and then she really didn't have the money to pay for it, so she got the scholarship. And like it's just like one thing after another.
Yeah.
Her and her roommate Sori, and like
Oh my
how
God.
quickly they became best as I call them biffles, best friends for life. Like, oh, it was so annoying.
Okay, firstly, can we just talk about how her and Jaewoo met? Because
Oh yeah.
it was just really cringy because like she met him and then she's like, I want you to leave because the time ran out. And he was like, he obviously wanted to stay, hang out. And she's like, I challenge you to a song battle.
Karaoke.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, when I read that part of the book, all I could see was that part in Camp Rock where it's like Camp Rock and they're clapping Camp Rock. That's what I was seeing in my head when I was reading that part. It was like, who does that? Can you imagine if you go into like a karaoke room, you're working it, and you see this very attractive, very, very attractive like person, and you're like, hey, you gotta leave, and they're like, no. I'd be like, okay, and walk away. I want to be like, I challenge you to a song battle. So that was like one of the many parts that I found to be a little bit cringy.
Well, I saw her being like, I challenge you to a karaoke battle. I literally like just shut the book off. I shut the book off. I walked away. I think I messaged you and I was like, a karaoke battle? Are you for real? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then okay, so now I can pull up my annotations. So the one nice thing about ebooks is annotations. Oh, she goes, XOXO, what kind of name is that? And I was like, oh no. Oh no. This was during my reread of it because I read it twice, once just to read it and then twice to for this podcast. And I caught little details like that where I was just like, oh, like not that she knew, she didn't know at that point, but I'm just like, you're gonna regret that question.
Yeah. So also on top of that, I felt like, I don't know about you, I kind of felt like they didn't really spend a lot of time together for them to kind of form the bond they had. Like I felt like they spent like maybe a couple hours together, and then like her just kind of being obsessed with him, which is kind of weird. Like he leaves for Korea and she's already calculating in her mind how long it would take for him to land so she can perfectly text him back. Maybe that's like how people are, like, how teenagers are, because this is a book about teenagers. As an adult, I find that to be very cringeworthy, but I also deal with anxiety, so that's probably why I find it cringeworthy. But like, I don't know, the fact that she's like, I'm going to calculate when you're going to be landing so I will know perfectly when to text you. I don't know. It's weird.
I didn't find it like, you know what? The weird thing is I found it super cringy to begin with. And then rereading it, it wasn't as cringy as I thought it was going to be, like as much as I remember it being. I mean, he was the one person that like after her uncle was like, you need to like take some chances and live for today. Like he was like the initial live for today spark. So there you go. Like,
yeah, I personally just felt like it would have been better if maybe they spent
like
I don't know,
more time together.
Yeah, I felt like it would have been really cute if maybe they got locked in the karaoke room together and they had spent like the night together or something like that. Like that'd be really cute.
Yeah.
Or something, because I felt like them, because in parts of the book they actually like ran away from this like random college person, which I found to be kind of weird and odd. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think they bumped into him or something on the bus, and
Yeah.
like they just hopped off, and then the people found them or whatever.
Mhm.
And so they were running away from them at that point. But
Yeah.
like realistically, like I don't think anybody was actually gonna get beaten up in this book. But that's
No, I
neither
don't
here
think
nor
so
there.
either. Yeah. And then do you want to talk about how quickly she got that scholarship?
Oh, I know. Okay, so yeah, her mom says that they're going to, well, she's going to South Korea
Mhm.
to take care of her mom, the grandmother.
But also on top of that, I like the fact how she gets very upset that her mom's leaving her, and she's like, "But I don't want you to leave." But like also her grandmother has cancer. Like it made it seem in the book that her grandmother like randomly just got cancer. It wasn't like something that she had. I don't know if you
Yeah.
got that feeling, which I felt to be kind of weird. I'm like, why is this just being thrown in here?
There was
Like,
like, and this goes back to like how quickly problems become resolved. It's just like things just happen. They're just plot points. It's just like we need to get from point A to point B. This is how we're gonna get. This is how we're gonna get you to Korea. Your grandmother's gonna have cancer. How are we gonna get you there? Well, you're gonna go to school there. Well, which school? Like this magical one that apparently her tutor already has connections to, and they give scholarships. Her school was like, yeah, we could totally send you to school there. You could just take a few online courses. Like I don't really feel like transferring to an international school is gonna be that easy.
no.
And then she got the scholarship. I don't think it covered 100%, but her mom just messaged. There was no financial struggle. The mom was just like, "Oh, so I've paid for everything. You are fine." And then the mom just kind of disappears for a very long time.
Yes, yes. Oh, and then also, I did not like the way that she met the EXO members. Like, I don't know about
With the
you.
uniforms.
Yeah, because like in my mind, I'm like, wouldn't like the K-pop group have their own measurements that they would just send to like the place and like get I mean, obviously, I'm not Korean. I've never been to South Korea, but I'm assuming that they wouldn't want if you're like a part of this really popular K-pop group, they probably wouldn't want you there. They would want you like at practice or not in a dangerous situation. So they probably would just send someone your measurements and get pick up whatever. But the way that we are introduced to the other characters, just I just did not like because like I don't know.
I kind of wanted more of like a boys over flowers introduction to them
Yes.
versus like how it happened. And if y'all don't, okay, so
Okay.
it's a K drama, Boys
It's
Over
a it's
Flowers.
a
It's a very old K drama,
it's
well, old
a
in like,
it's a K-drama that it's so bad that you can't stop watching.
oh, it's so cringy. So in this K drama, like the four main characters, they all like walk in and the girls are like screaming over them and like this like light shines on them and they're just like lit up and there's these like special moments and the main character just like sees them and it's like, oh my god, it's them. And like that's kind of it's kind of what I was hoping and
Yeah.
expecting, not just like, oh, I met these two people and then, oh, by the way, they're in XOXO, and oh, by the way, we're all in the same homeroom except for Sun because Sun was older and he was graduated.
Yeah.
It was just too much like, oh, by the way, XYZ. Oh, by the way, XYZ. And it's
Yeah.
just it was like everything just like fell into her
Their
lap.
lap. Yeah, and I did not like that. And then like I don't know, I felt for me personally the side characters were not well developed at all, which was really quite sad. And I felt like they were all way too happy. They were all way too happy. Like her two side friends, I forgot what their names. There was one of them.
Angela
Yep.
and G Take.
They were like, they found out that she was having a relationship with Jaewoo, and they're like, "Oh, we're so happy!"
I
Like,
know.
I'm like, it's just,
Even Sori didn't really, because Sori had that her relationship with Nathaniel
mhm.
and how badly everything ended for her and him, and still she was kind of like, well, just be careful, like ha ha ha. But like no, you should be warning her even more. Like it ruined everything, and like no,
Yeah.
you should stop where you're at. Like there was no conflict. She didn't hit hard points.
No, she didn't. And that's the thing about books is that you want characters to kind of go through it because you want that character development. You want to see them struggle and then kind of achieve their dreams. But for this book, she really didn't struggle. She didn't really go through any of the hardships. Nothing really came hard to her. And it was quite frustrating as a reader because you wanted to root for her, but you knew things were going to work out eventually. As so for her playing the cello, I felt like there wasn't like it wasn't till the end where you're like you forget that she's actually
A
like
cellist, yeah.
yeah, and that she's actually in school for that because she doesn't ever really talk about it, which was I don't know weird.
Yeah,
And then we had
she was
that.
in dance class a lot
Yep.
and like they spent a lot of time in the cafeteria, but yeah, there wasn't really a lot of like playing or her talking about her future other than like a couple points when she talks about like the Manhattan School of Music. But yeah, like no, you really don't see a lot of cello. You see it when she goes to visit her gram at the nursing home or whatever the clinic that she's at and stuff because she plays there. So she doesn't play at all in the beginning. She plays a little bit in the middle and then she plays a lot more at the end. She only plays twice at the end. Like that's her whole personality, her whole identity, why she's going to that specific school.
Yeah, I just felt like, and this is really bad to say, I just felt like this was a fanfic. And I say this in a way
You
because
really did read
no,
like a fanfic.
but I say this in a way because I feel like this was a fanfic either for BTS or EXO, because I'm just gonna say this right now, because there were some things in it that I was like, huh. Like for EXO, obviously the book's called XOXO, which is, it reminds me a lot of this K-pop group called EXO. By the way, when she figures out that this guy who she only hung out with for a couple hours is in the script, she like Googles everything about him, and then she finds this variety show and she sees that he's on this like show, which I'm assuming it, the way she described it was like a show in which they're playing some form of tag, and that's like Running Man, and EXO was on Running Man. So I was like, huh, is she doing one about EXO? And then the song that they came up with that she talks about is like about them running for their freedom, which reminds me a little bit about BTS. It didn't feel well written because a lot of times there was a lot of, it was very wordy. There was a lot.
It was extremely wordy. So like I had said at the beginning of this episode, like you don't need to understand any kind of like culture or K-pop or anything because she'll explain everything to you, but it's in so much detail. It's almost too much to the point that I was like skipping full paragraphs because I just couldn't keep reading it. I had to just move on to the next scene that would push the story forward. I feel like some of the stuff she was saying didn't push the story forward, were unnecessary. A lot of the romanized Hangul was kind of cringy.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because if you don't know kind of what you're reading to begin with, like all the letters kind of look like jumbled letters. They don't really like equate to anything because a lot of this whole book's written in English. So then she has to differentiate like the character was speaking in English. So I assumed almost all the characters spoke
Oh.
English till they were like they said it in English, and I was like, oh, I guess they've been speaking Korean the whole time.
Well, I guess that's what makes it difficult about book, because I did read a book called The Seven Deadly Shadows, and it was
Yeah.
based in Japan, and the writer did not say like, oh, they were talking English, they were talking whatever. They just basically said like the first shot, I think the first page was like they were talking Japanese. So you just
Hmm.
assume they're speaking Japanese. And I guess that makes that a little bit difficult because like I get the point of adding in grandfather and grandfather, or grandmother and grandfather in like Korean, because like I mean I'm assuming that, I don't know. Like I feel like,
I mean, I get she was trying to like put the cultural thing into
yeah,
it, but
that's what I'm trying to
at the
say.
same time, so it was established that Jenny could speak and read Korean. Okay, so halfway through the book, they're going to go on this trip. And she's been taking all these classes in Korean. She's been living in Korea. She's been ordering food in Korean because now it's established that the whole time they've been speaking in Korean. And then they say, "Oh, well, you got it in the email." And she's like, "Well, I can't read it." Like, what do you mean you can't read the email? What do you mean you couldn't understand it? Like, I'm sure the email wasn't a complicated text to
Yeah,
read.
to read.
So I just
I
like sometimes I just feel like things were contradictory in order to move the story forward. Like it didn't always flow the way it was supposed
Yeah.
to because she's trying to like establish this awkward American girl in Korea, but like she fits in really well till she doesn't want her to fit in well.
Yeah. I felt like if anything, this book shouldn't, like, it was way too wordy, but also on top of that, there was a lot of things in it, like you said, that went against each other. But that was like lazy because you could easily, as a writer, you could easily go back and edit it and add in parts to kind of foreshadow other parts, like the ribbon that came
Oh,
out of
that
nowhere.
stupid ribbon. Yeah, I know that ribbon came out of. I want to read my note that I specifically said. I said, "Where the heck did that red ribbon come from? It is so random and never mentioned until chapter 36."
Yeah. Yeah. And
36. Four
but
chapters before
apparently
the book is over.
but apparently this is a very important ribbon to her.
But apparently her father gave it to her and used to tie her hair up. I mean, she talked about her dad a lot in the beginning of the book. You figured that'd be at least a detail.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But also on top of that, like I felt like the writer, I don't know if the writer was held at gunpoint and she couldn't edit or backspace. I don't understand. But I don't want to talk all negative about this book because the book was
No,
cute and was fluffy. I just didn't really agree with some of the things that happened in it. I didn't feel like it was well written. There are other books out there that are kind of like this. Well, there's some books that are actually coming out, and there's some books that are already out. There's one book that I read recently. Hold on, let me find it real quick. I think it's by, okay. There's one book that came out, I think last year, called "I'll Be the One," or maybe it was 2 years ago, by Layla Lee. That is about a girl who's trying to be a K-pop idol and deal with body positivity. Also deals with dating, kind of like a K-pop idol. That one's really cute and that one's well written. This one, on the other hand, did not feel well written, but then again, I'm an adult and I'm reviewing a young adult book, so I understand that just because I didn't like it,
Yeah.
other people won't like it.
I mean,
And
I'm not trying to smash this book. I really am not. It if it's for what it stands on its own, it's a very fluffy read. It's a very easy read. You don't get like attached to it. It's not something you have to, I guess, pay attention to because you could just kind of read and as it goes, you kind of know. You know, what I noticed too with this book, it hits all the K drama points, every single one of them.
like, okay, let's go
Like,
through them.
okay, so there is like initial meeting, kind of weird. They don't really get along very well, especially like in the very, very beginning with them running into the karaoke bar. They get separated. Usually it's the mom, but the mom liked her. So Sun takes over the mom who thinks that the girl is going to ruin his life.
You're right. The rich mom who hands her the money is like,
Yeah.
leave my son alone.
You're not there. Someone ends up in the hospital. Her
Mhm.
grandmother ends up in the hospital at like one of the climactic points instead of it being him, because usually it's the main lead male. It is now the grandmother who ends up in the hospital.
Yep.
What else does it hit? Initial first kiss.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's no
That happens about the halfway point of most K dramas. This happened about the halfway point in the book.
There's no memory loss though, so we can check that one off the list.
No, but there is the like grand date right after where you go off and like do a bunch of things.
Yeah.
The little sister that loves her.
Yep.
What else? There was no second lead. There was no specific second lead.
I mean, Ian, kind of.
Ian,
oh my god.
Ian, kind of, and he doesn't really count, honest to God, because he was one of those characters that showed up, disappeared, came back, and disappeared again. He served no purpose in this book.
I don't understand why he was even in the book itself.
I don't either. And the thing about it is that I don't know about you, but there's a thing in K dramas called second lead syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I suffer from second lead syndrome a lot because I'm like, it should be him, but I know it's gonna be the main guy, but it should be him. I suffer from it all the time because it always breaks my heart. There is a K drama. Let me look up the name of it right now. Uncontrollably Fond.
Okay.
So I love Kim Woo-bin, just by the way. But in Uncontrollably Fond, the second lead is like super caring toward the main girl, and he like wants to take care of her, and I'm just like, oh, how cute. I think they should be together, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's the second lead, and it'll never happen. So, but there was no second lead syndrome in this one. I just wanted Ian to go away.
Yeah. Ian popped out of nowhere, and you're like, who is this? I forget, because like he's literally in the beginning of the book for maybe a page, 2 pages.
Yeah, long enough to give her coffee, give her the phone number, her to kind of like swoon over it for like 5 seconds, and then like walk away.
Yeah.
I thought it might be Nathaniel, but then Nathaniel was with Sori, and then I was like, maybe Youngmin, because I like Youngmin. I definitely didn't see G-Tag. I kind of wanted G-Tag and Angela to get together.
Mm-hmm.
But then that just didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
But and there was like flirty parts too, with Angela just like giggling when G-Take talks to her, and she goes on the same adventures that he does, and they're always together. And I just kind of wanted them to end up dating, and they didn't. And I was just like, missed opportunities.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in this book that I wish would change, honestly, because I felt like it could have been a lot better. I just felt like it just was not put together better. Do I think that this could be made into like a Netflix movie? I hope so, because I feel like maybe then it'd be kind of like show its potential, because I feel like this book would have been done better if it was like a K drama or like a book, because as a book it just came off not so great. But positive things about the book: cute, fluffy, guilty read. Seriously, if you're looking for a book to kind of just get by real fast, check it out.
This was definitely it. Yeah, if you haven't checked it out already and you listened to all our spoilers, like go read the book, make your own choices, make your own opinions on it. There are some positives about it. I really liked the relationship between Jenny and her grandmother. That was really cute.
Yeah. I really like how we're getting more books to do with people of color. So I'm always gonna proudly and happily promote books that have people of color in it, because we don't really have many people. Well, I guess nowadays we do. There's more books with people of color, as main characters, which I absolutely love. But I love that. I love the whole K-drama feel. Yeah.
I mean, it hits the romance notes like it should. Like there's the big breakup, and then they kind of like, well, how are they going to get back together? And then they get back together at the end, and you're just like, oh, everything works out, and they are adorable together. They really are, and I don't feel like their relationship is like uber toxic either.
Yeah. So my question to you is, do you think that if they were a real couple, do you think they would last? How you like? Do you think they would last, and how long do you think they'll last for? Because it is a high school romance.
I give them a year.
I was gonna say a year too.
I give them a year, and here is why: the long distance.
Yeah.
Because clearly, if they were doing their concert in New York, they're obviously getting bigger to have their own concert in the United States. He lives in South Korea. She lives in Los Angeles. Even if she goes to Manhattan, like that's still not enough of a time. Like obviously the East Coast is closer than the West Coast, I think. So it would probably be like a lot of texting and like we're gonna come see each other, and then like slowly over time, probably frustration because they're so far apart. But
Yeah.
But if we want to go in the romance novel way, forever and ever.
Forever and ever. We love
Forever
them.
and ever.
We love them. We love them.
They're perfect for each other forever and ever.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we just did not vibe with this book, obviously, but there are obviously going to be books that we're going to read that we're not going to like, and that's okay. These are our own opinions. Like Sam said, read the book, come up with your own opinions. But before we end this, Sam, I have a question for you.
Oh God, what's your question?
My question for you to end it. By the way, if you don't know, after each episode, I'm going to ask a question just so you guys can kind of get to know us. And my question for you, Sam, is what is your favorite K-drama? And it doesn't have to be just one. It could be like 2 or 3 or 4.
Oh, okay. Favorite K-drama. Scarlet Heart Rayo is like near and dear to my heart. I will never forgive how it ended. But I loved that show so much. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Scarlet Heart Rayo. I'll do my top 3. Scarlet Heart Rayo, Cinderella and the Four Knights, and then it's a tie between Uncontrollably Fond and W.
Oh, W was really good.
W was really good. But I think Uncontrollably Fond, like, because that was the last one Kim Woo-bin's been in for a long time. Like, definitely top 3 for sure.
Yeah. I think mine would have to be the Replay series. Absolutely love the Replay series. Also, I really like one or something about 1%. I love that. I don't know why. I just really like that one. Boys Over Flowers, of course. Boys Over Flower. Playful Kiss. But I like the Japanese version, so not the Korean version, but the Japanese version.
I like the Japanese version better than the Korean version. I think I made it through a couple episodes and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, the Japanese version is a lot better.
Did you know there's a second season?
Yeah, I know. There's so many seasons, but you know that the person who actually came up with the story died before it actually ended, so you don't really know like how it actually ended.
Oh God.
Which makes me a little bit sad. And I don't know what else. I'm trying to think. Uncanny Counter. I really like that one. I don't know. I like quite a bit of them. I tend to like watch K-dramas. Like I'll get into this thing where I'll watch a bunch of K-dramas and I'll just stop for like a year. But yeah, that's our review of XOXO by Axie Oh. She is coming out with another book. And
February 22nd.
Yeah.
Only reason why I know it's the day before my birthday. How can I forget that?
Yeah. She's coming out with a book. It's called The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. And I actually just read that she might be coming out with a second book to XOXO.
Ooh.
But it's a rumor. She said it's up to her publisher.
Honestly, I feel like XOXO should just sit where it is.
I feel like so too, but I also feel like I do want to kind of see this as a Netflix series. I'm just saying.
But I really want like I feel like it sits as a standalone, it reads as a standalone. Let it sit.
Yeah.
Let it sit.
But anyways, if you guys like, you guys can follow us on Instagram at Just One More Page Official. You can also follow us on TikTok, which is called Just One More Page Official. And we also have a Facebook group. Just search Just One More Page and you should find us.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
We post new episodes every Sunday, so we will see you next Sunday. Do we want to tell them what we're talking about next Sunday so they can get
Sure.
ready?
Of course.
So next Sunday we're actually going to be starting a book called Dark Rise. So ironically, this is not a normal book for Morgan, but she's the one who suggested it. But it's by C.S. Picot. We've created a rule in our podcast where if any book is over like 300 pages, 350 pages, that we are going to split our podcasts into 2 episodes. So, because this is a larger book, we are going to be reading up to chapter 19, and that will be the first one. The first episode will be chapters 1 through 19, and then the episode after that will be 19 to the end. So, it'll be a 2-part series. So, yeah, go ahead, go read it. It's already out. It's in hardcover. It looks very interesting. And then come talk to us about it. Let's all have discussions. Let's discuss everything.
Yeah. So come check us out. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you for listening.
Bye.